This Nooteboom model is very well packed. It comes in a cardboard outer sleeve for protection, and when you take that out, the model is packed in some Nooteboom branded packaging, and inside that box you have the model contained within a polystyrene tray, and it's got a clear plastic lid over the top of it. With the lid off, you can take the parts out. There are two wind turbine components, and you can take the trailer itself out, but you have to be careful with this model. As with all WSI models, it's very detailed. There are lots of small parts on it, so you need to be a little bit careful of how you handle it. And there's also a bag of parts. And if we open up the bag of parts, there's quite a few pieces. There's some planks for extending the width of the trailer. There's a nice little set of wooden pallets for putting the load on. There's a small bag of metal deck posts which go along the sides of the trailer, and the pieces also for the headboard at the front. There's another small bag which has two width markers that get clipped onto the model, a tool chest, and some straps for the load. But the only weakness in all of this is that there are in fact no instructions with the model, so I'll try and explain how the parts fit later. Let's start by having a look at some of the detail on the MAN truck. It certainly looks sharp, and some of the details are very good. You can see here the chevrons on the front bumper, good number plate and lights as well. All Nooteboom models get their own fleet number, and this tractor is tractor T021, and you can see that the wheel hubs also are really smart on the model, and there's a nice wind turbine graphic as well. Behind the cab there's some coiled air lines and some diamond plated walking surfaces, and the wheel arches look really good on this model. In terms of features, the tractor unit rolls along well. If we look underneath, the detail is really good on the chassis, very good suspension and transmission components. The steering is accurately modelled, but the consequence of that is that it has a very limited range of movement, and so there's a balance there between accuracy of modelling and functionality, but you can get a little bit of a steering lock and it moves along okay. The engine's very detailed when you tip the cab, and when you look close up there's the fan and the exhaust components can all be seen. One point to note about the airlines is that there are receiving holes on the front of the trailer to receive them, but there are no plugs on the end of the lines, so you have to just fiddle with the ends a little bit and try to get them into a good position. Moving to the trailer, and the standard of detailing is excellent. You can see at the front the holes for where the airlines fit, and there are some excellent tiny graphics and the yellow stripe that goes along the side of the trailer edge. Underneath it's really good too. You can see the individual airlines are all modelled, and the suspension is also very detailed. And the high detail approach continues on the trailer surface where there's some good textures, and you can see the replica timbers even have all these screw holes individually formed. There are many features on the trailer, so we'll start by looking underneath at the landing legs at the front. These are metal and they're on screws, which means you can undo them and lower them so that they can support the trailer if it's not connected to the tractor. At the rear, the suspension on all three axles is fully working, and you can see it bobs up and down nicely. Each one is independently sprung with a good range of movement, and that includes the steering axle as well. And the steering axle at the rear also has a good range of movement. The front width markers are stowed under the gooseneck, and they just pull out into position, and when you finish with them you can just easily push them back in. And at the back there are a couple of fold down landing legs to stabilise the trailer when you're loading a heavy piece of plant over the end. The width marker boards at the rear end of the trailer just plug into some slots that are available, but these are a very tight fit, and in practice, much as I hate to butcher models, I found it much easier if you just cut away a little bit of the plastic at the end of the marker boards, and then they fit much easier. At the front, the headboard arrangement is just made up of four metal pieces which plug into holes that are already in the deck, and it's easy enough to fit. Some of the connections are a little bit tight, but just get it in and straightened up nicely. It looks fine. And there's also a tool chest which can also be fitted just behind the front of the headboard. But you don't have to fit the headboard if you don't want, because you can use deck posts instead, and there are plenty of deck posts to run down the full length of the model. They're metal pieces that just simply plug into the preformed holes, and they're mostly a reasonable fit. Sometimes one or two might be a little bit loose, so you'd have to straighten them up to get it to look right, but when they're all installed they look fine. Next up is fitting the trailer deck width extenders, and along the sides of the deck are these tiny plastic consoles which just pull out, and they provide support for the additional deck planks. They're all marked. That one's A1, you might just have seen that, and from the front they're numbered A1, A2, A3 towards the rear, because they are most of them different lengths, and they just fit onto the deck consoles, so it works quite well. Obviously they get knocked off easily, but they look good. And finally we come to the last feature on the trailer, which is that it's fully extendable and almost doubles its length. There's a crossbeam which can travel along the spine and be positioned at any location, and this gives a variety of different posing opportunities for the model with different types of loads. This model comes with a load, and it's a hub and nose cone for a wind turbine, and the pieces are made out of resin, and they're quite nice with bolt details and authentic looking tarpaulin across the openings. To place the load on the trailer, it's a matter of using the nice looking replica wooden pallets that are provided, and then placing the loads on top. It doesn't matter if the pallets aren't quite lined up at this stage, because you need to adjust them after you've fitted the straps which come with the model as well, and this is a nice touch because you can just clip those over the top of the loads. They secure on the deck edges quite easily, and after a little bit of fiddling you get them in the right place, and you straighten it all up and straighten the pallets, and you get a nice looking load. Of course, the flexibility of this model is that you can carry any other loads that you have if you want to. This 3-axle Nooteboom OSDS trailer is a really nice model by WSI. The details are excellent, as are the many features, and the addition of the turbine load makes for a really good display. In summary, this is an outstanding model.